Are you following all the advice that you can find about selling at craft shows but are finding that the sales just aren't coming in? I'd have never ended up trading at some of the most sought after events in the UK and turning over up to £2,500 a day if I had listened to some of the commonly found online advice. So in this video, I'm going to give you 10 top tips and tell you what really matters when taking your products from a hobby business that earns you a few extra pounds to a full-time business that can bring in sales worth thousands. Welcome to our channel. My name is Anne, and along with my good friend Wayne, we run this YouTube channel, and we also run the Sussex Handmade Soap Company, which is a small bath and body business based in the southeast of the UK. So back in 2021, we released a video with some advice on selling at craft fairs and events. I'm going to link that video just here because it is still definitely worth a watch. In that video, we do show you our stand setup, and we do also talk about things to take to craft fairs and events just to make your life a little bit easier. I'm not going to show that in today's video. And in our prior video, we do give some other hints and tips that I'm not going to mention today because I don't really want to double up on what I've said. Today is basically the updated version because back in 2021 we have been going for 3 years. We have now been going for 6 years, coming into our 7th year, and we have learnt a lot more in the last 3 years, and just a few things I think are worth noting. So without any further chitter chatter, let's jump into our 10 top tips. And the first section of our tips are going to be regarded what to do when you are first looking for events and first booking events. So tip number 1, if you have found an event that you like, that you think is going to really fit your business and it is still a good few months away, make sure you apply early. Sought after events can get booked up very quickly, and you will often find that good events will limit the number of soap sellers and indeed any kind of category of selling so that there is not too much competition. So if you found something you like, get that application in right now, even if the actual event is still months away. And from personal experience, this is a very important tip because there is an event that we have been doing for the last 4 years that has always gone really well for us. They sent us out application forms last November, and the event is not until August. Because we were really busy in November with Christmas, I completely did not see the email. This morning I thought I haven't heard from them, I better contact them, see what's going on with the application. When I contacted him, he told me that they were already fully booked for this year, which is really disappointing because it is an event that is run over 3 weekends and we do really well at it, but we have now missed out purely because I missed the email coming in back in November, and it's only April and the event is fully booked, and it is not till August, so April, May, June, July, it is still 4 months away, and yet there is no space left at that event. So get those applications in early or you risk missing out. My second tip when you are actually looking for events to apply for is look for handmade or maker only events. We have done a mix over the last few years of both events that will only take items if they are handmade and if you are the maker, and events that will take you if you are handmade, if you are a maker, or if you are a wholesaler, importer, whatever. We find that handmade and maker only events, we do a lot better in terms of sales. At events where bought-in products are allowed, our sales are generally lower, and this is, I think, influenced by the fact that the people that import cheaper quality items from places like China or other places overseas can afford to sell their products at a lower price. And even if they're not selling soaps, the fact that your stall may be surrounded by lots of other stalls selling things that are a lot cheaper, it makes your products look expensive, and you know they're not expensive for the quality, and I know they're not expensive for the quality, but the general customers just see lots of bought-in cheap tat, and then they see your stall with the lovely handmade stuff and they think that's expensive given I can buy whatever from the next stall down and pay a lot less. So even though your products are handmade, if you're surrounded by a lot of bought-in stuff that is being sold cheaper, it can influence your sales. So where possible, look for handmade and maker-only events. They are sometimes a little bit more expensive to get into, but they are worth it because they draw in a crowd that know they are buying directly from the makers, and those kinds of people are often prepared to pay a little bit more money for your products. Point number 3, be aware of events that don't fit your demographic. Now, when we first started doing this, after a year or so, people became a little bit aware of who we are. You know, people would see us at events, they'd pick up a card, and then we would get emails coming through saying, we saw you at X event, do you want to apply to our event too? And in the beginning, quite a lot of the time we said yes. And this didn't necessarily work. I get still quite a lot of emails through from companies running food festivals that say, we've got a small craft section at our food festival, do you want to take part? Now, a few years ago, we did do 2 or 3 food festivals, but they really do not fit the demographic because although there is the craft section, people will have a look. Those people are going to a food festival. They are not there to buy soap or crafts. Predominantly, they want the food. So look at what the festival is about, and if it doesn't fit your demographic, don't go for it. Food festivals for us are a no. Similarly, I have recently had an email through asking us to attend, I think it was a monster truck event. Sounds like a huge amount of fun. Love to go there as a customer. Do I want to trade there? No, because somebody that's there to see monster trucks doesn't really fit my demographic of me trying to sell them a very pretty bar of soap. Tip number 4, you've found an event that you like. Ask the organisers how many other soap sellers there are and what their anticipated footfall is, and be prepared for them to exaggerate slightly. Not so much when it comes to how many soap sellers there are. You might get told, oh, there might be another 1 or 2. That's fair enough. They can't limit it just to 1. So you will often find there are other soap sellers there. What you don't want is to ring up an organiser, say, how many soap sellers are there in this place that has got 100 stalls, and them to say, oh, we've already got 15, 20 people selling cosmetics or bath or body. That dilutes the market too much. So a couple of other soap sellers is fine. You don't want there to be too many other soap sellers because that is too much competition. A little competition is good. A lot dilutes it. Customers get bored anyway. It's, you know, you hear, oh, another soap stall. You don't want to hear that. When it comes to footfall, as I've said, you could ask what the footfall is and they may well give you a number. Be prepared that from experience, that number can be, in some cases, hugely exaggerated. And I've got a little example here for you of exactly what I mean by that. So last year, we were considering doing Rochester Christmas Market, and indeed we did end up doing it. I made my decision based on flyers and information and chats with the organisers who said that they were expecting 250,000 people across 3 different weekends. What actually happened was weekend number 1 attracted 42,500 people. Weekend 2, which they had promised was the biggest and best weekend of the entire event, was cancelled due to weather, so there was no footfall. And weekend 3 was similar to weekend number 1. So another 42,500, so that makes 85,000. Now, to be fair to them, it's not their fault that weekend 2 was cancelled. And by their own admission and by talking to other stallholders as well, weekend 2 is considerably busier than the other 2 weekends. And the estimated footfall for weekend 2 was 80,000. So let's say they'd got those full 80,000. 80,000 is what the organisers had told me were going to be there had weekend 2 not been cancelled. So we add our 80,000 for weekend 2 to our 42,500 for weekends 1 and 3, and that gives us a total of 165,000 people. It's still a huge amount of people, but it's not 250,000. It is about 2/3 of what their advertised footfall was. So we are missing 85,000 people. That's 85,000 people I had been told were going to be there or would likely be there, spending their money, that weren't there. So allow for the fact that those footfalls, you are told, might be slightly upped. So now, moving on from the booking and finding events, we're going to talk about the financial side of events. So tip numbers 5 to 8 are going to be moving on from booking and looking at events to the financial side of things. Tip number 5 is build up slowly. And by that I mean when you are first looking at events, don't necessarily jump into the most expensive ones that you can find. Start up slowly. Start with smaller events just to kind of test the water, test how your product goes down, find your demographic, find which people it is that resonate with your products and that want to buy them, because then when you are going on to slightly more expensive events, you've got that little bit of background knowledge that is hopefully going to allow you to choose the more expensive events with a little bit of knowledge of what kind of events you want to pick. And definitely do not overstretch yourself financially when you are booking your first events. A lot of the time you'll have to pay deposits, and these deposits are often paid months in advance. And I can tell you there is nothing worse than putting down all these deposits for these events and then struggling to afford to buy the ingredients because all your money is tied up. So make sure you don't overstretch yourself when you are starting out with booking your events. And in a similar vein to that, tip number 6 is you really can't start without at least a little bit of money behind you. We've all heard these stories where people say, I started with £20 in my back pocket and now I'm running a business worth millions. Potentially, yes, depending on what sector you are in, but in this sector, you do need money behind you in order to be booking these events and selling these events. Let's think. The events want paying deposits months in advance, so that is going to require money there to pay deposits. You are then going to have to buy insurance. All of these events are going to want you to have insurance. That's another outlay. You are going to need to buy your ingredients to make the products that you're going to sell. That's another financial outlay. And you're going to need, if you're in the UK at least, your assessment so that you are legal for selling. And that is all before you have even made a penny at selling at these events. So those costs do add up massively. So when people say, oh, you can start a business with 50 quid, I promise you, you cannot. You cannot start a business, at least in this field, with £50 and expect that it's going to work. Unfortunately, you do need some money behind you. I'm not saying you need tens of thousands, but a good couple of thousand just to start you off, get those ingredients, get the assessments, get the deposits in would really definitely help. It's a sad fact of life. So still talking about money, tip number 7, be prepared to pay big for big events. There are some events that are very well known, very popular, and they will want hundreds, if not thousands of pounds in pitch fees. I'm not joking, I promise you, they will want a lot of money, and they will often want a portion of that money, whether that be a deposit or the balance paid off in stages, months before the actual event takes place. So you definitely need to factor that in. And this can represent an absolutely huge outlay, and indeed one of the biggest, if not the biggest, actual overhead for your business. So big events, be prepared to pay big money. And this does lead me on to our last tip in the financial section, tip number 8. Don't listen to other sellers online. I've seen a lot of this in the soaping forums and the craft forums. Don't listen to other sellers who say never to pay more than £50 or £100 for a pitch, and never do an event if you can't expect to earn 10 times your pitch fee. And to me personally, I don't think I could actually disagree with this advice anymore at all. But it is something that I do commonly see when people say, oh, in the forums, how much should I expect to pay for an event? I've seen this event that costs X amount of money. There will always be somebody that chimes in and says, I never pay more than £50 for any of my pitches. I would refuse to pay any more. It's too much money. And then you get other people saying, I pay a little bit more, but I'm not going to do it if I can't expect to take at least 10 times what my pitch costs. I disagree, and I'm going to tell you why. So last year, and I'm going to use a couple of events as an example, we did a one-day event down in Linfield, and it's called Linfield Village Day, and it's really lovely, and it's a good event for us. I'm giving you 2 examples, which I would both class as good events. Linfield Village Day cost us £45. We turned over £530 at Linfield Village Day, so that is about 12 times our table cost. So everyone that says make at least 10 times, this would be a good fare. This would be one that would get the thumbs up from them. Our profit on that was, let me check, £360 and 45 pence. Not bad for one day's work. It's a good fare. I really enjoy it. We're doing it again this year. Now let's contrast it with another fare. Last year, we also did an event called Fantasy Forest. Now that is an event with 2 days worth of selling, and that table cost us £675 and 60 pence. And we had a really good weekend, and our turnover was £3,268. But that's only 5 times the table fee. So for everyone who's saying make sure you get at least 10 times, this event wouldn't fit for them because it's 5 times, it's not 10 times. So in the eyes of the people on social media, it's not an event worth doing. Our profit was £1,966.80 for 2 days' work. Now, Linfield Village Day, £360 profit. Fantasy Forest, 1,900 and, what did I say, 66. Which of those two events would you rather do? Because I know for sure which one I'd rather do. Although the Fantasy Forest did require more preparation, we had to make more stock, the actual profit we got back from it was amazing. And I would take a two-day event like that, turning over a profit of nearly £2,000 over a one-day event that nets me £360 profit any day of the week. And addressing the people who say that they will refuse to pay more than, say, £50, £100 per day for a pitch, our most expensive pitch to date has been just over £5,000, £5,200 and something to be precise. That is an event we really did have to work up to. It's not one you could imagine doing when you've just started out. We had to save the money for that based on everything we had earned from previous years. But that was at Winchester Christmas Market last year, and the event did run for 31 days. So although 5,200 and something sounds huge, when you divide it by the 31 days, it works out to very roughly just under £170 per day. So a lot of people who are saying they wouldn't spend more than 100 wouldn't consider this event because it's 170 per day. What I can tell you is that we didn't make 10 times our pitch fee at Winchester. We didn't make £52,000. What we did make was a huge amount of money that is enough to set us up for at least a good part of this year. We had wanted it to set us up for the whole of this year, but unfortunately bad weather and some cancelled days didn't make that happen. But it has set us up for a good portion of this year, and it is absolutely worth doing. It is one of the most sought after events in the country, along with the other Christmas markets. There are hundreds of people who apply to it each year. And I'm really hoping we get into it again this year, but we won't know. And the reason it is so popular is because it generates people a lot of profit, even though it does have a high per day cost. And tips number 9 and 10 are: you're into the fair, you've been booked, you're good to go, what now? Tip number 9, make enough stock and start early. And this is especially relevant if you are doing some of the Christmas events, the ones that run for more than one day. And if you are doing something like a Christmas market like what we did, then you need to start making your stock early, and don't underestimate how long it is going to take you to make your stock. We've done Winchester 2 years in a row, and the first year we made what we thought was enough stock, but we were completely blown away with how busy it actually was. And when we were there, we had about 5 days left of the event, and we were really running out of things. Our bath bombs sold out, we had soap selling out. The last couple of days, our table was almost bare. So that is 2 full days of sales where we had hardly anything to sell, 5 days where our stock was very, very limited. So we were limiting the potential of money that we could take. We could have made a lot more in those last 5 days if we had just had enough stock. So start early with your stock making. Last year, 2024, we actually started making stock and everything that we could possibly do, bits that weren't going to go bad or, go off by Christmas. We started making certain components in January for December, because we knew we wanted to go back to Winchester and we wanted to go bigger and better and make sure we had enough stock. So we started in January. We were still finishing off our stock the day before the markets began. So it does take a long time to make sure you have got those stock levels up and ready. And the final tip number 10, is, if possible, have a unique or tailored product for the event that you are attending. And what I mean by that is something that is going to make you stand out in terms of a unique product. And at our Christmas events, especially at Winchester, we had Christmas soaps. So our Christmas soaps with very pretty Christmas designs in them. There was a good few soap sellers at Winchester, but none of them had Christmas soaps like ours. And because of that, people were buying their Christmassy themed soaps all from us, which was fantastic. And they were a brilliant seller and one of the top sellers. And I do put that down just to the fact that people that wanted something festive had no other options but to buy it from us. They could get a regular soap probably 2 or 3 other stalls. They wanted a Christmassy themed one, it was only us. So try and find something that will set you just a little bit above or make you a little bit different from the rest of your competitors. And when it came to Fantasy Forest, when I say about having a unique product that you can tailor to a specific event, luckily we have a bath bomb assessment with Soapwash that allows us to change colours, change scents, change shape, and it's all still legal. For Fantasy Forest, we made dragon's egg bath bombs. And this is not a product that we sell at any other shows we do, apart from a couple of the medieval shows, but generally we made these for Fantasy Forest and we made hundreds of them. These would not fit with a demographic for our posher kind of craft events, handmade, maker only. They would not be right for that, but for Fantasy Forest we thought, dragon's egg bath bombs, let's go with that. The people, they come in cosplay, it's all fun, it's all music, it's all fantasy. So we went with dragon's egg bath bombs. We made hundreds of them and we nearly sold out in 2 days. I think we came away with a couple, this being one of the ones. But the others, they sold out, they brought in a huge amount of money and they brought in a huge amount of interest to our stall because we set up a full display of them just to try and really highlight them. So if you have got a product, or if you can think of a product or a way of doing or tailoring one of your products that you already have to fit the audience of the show that you are going to, definitely give it a go, because if you get it right, it can really raise up those sales. And there we have it. That is 10 top tips for craft shows and events. As I said, do feel free to watch our other video, which I will also link to the end of this video. It just covers a few other little tips and things you might find useful. If you found this video useful and you would like to support our channel, please do feel free to buy us a coffee just here. All the money through Buy Us a Coffee gets funneled back into supporting the channel, and we really appreciate anything that you do choose to give. If you like our videos as a whole, please do hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you find out when we upload our next video, leave us a like and leave us a comment. Let us know your own top tips as well. And until next time, have a lovely day. Bye for now.